I just want to note for the record that when you at home have a chance to read this thing, and you should, just to page through it when you have a quiet moment. Trust me, you have read things longer than 45 pages. This is double-spaced. You'll get through it. If you have a quiet moment to read this, and I hope you do, if you are like me, I think the thing that will jump out at you is the violence. Not descriptions of violence on January 6th, but the way Trump and his alleged co-conspirators talked about how violence was going to be part of this. How that was factored in to this alleged conspiracy in a way that these folks seem to expect. They're not charged with riot. They're not charged with sedition. They are charged with exploiting the disturbance that they apparently, allegedly, intentionally caused. They knew to count on violence. They factored it into their planning. That comes out in the indictment in a way that will keep you up. It comes up, for example, in the section on trying to decapitate the Justice Department and then put in this guy, Jeff Clark, and use the authority of the Justice Department to tell the states that they should throw out election results. This is just something I want to show you here from page 30 of the indictment. The alleged co-conspirator that's being described here is Jeffrey Bossert Clark. He's the guy who Trump tried to put in charge of the Justice Department, apparently named him acting attorney general so that Clark could carry out this plot there. Just look at this. On the afternoon of January 3rd, co-conspirator 4, who we believe to be Jeff Clark, spoke with the deputy White House counsel. The previous month, the deputy White House counsel had informed defendant Trump that, quote, there is no world, there is no option in which you do not leave the White House on January 20th. Now, the same deputy White House counsel tried to dissuade Jeff Clark from assuming the role of acting attorney general. The deputy White House counsel reiterated to Clark that there had not been outcome determinative fraud in the election, and that if defendant Trump remained in office nonetheless, there would be, quote, riots in every major city in the United States. Jeff Clark responded, well, that's why there's an Insurrection Act. The indictment continues. Also that afternoon, Clark met with the acting attorney general and told him that defendant Trump had decided to put Jeff Clark in charge of the Justice Department. That same afternoon, Trump decides to put Clark in charge of the Justice Department after Clark says that day, oh, the country's going to rise up in every city in the country because we're going to try to hold power by force? Well, we'll use the Insurrection Act. That's what the Insurrection Act is for. What does the Insurrection Act do? It allows the president to call up the U.S. military and use the army to take over American streets and use military force against the American people. That's what the Insurrection Act is for. That's why there's an Insurrection Act. Now, look, a few pages later, in a part of the indictment that's about pressuring Vice President Mike Pence, we're still on January 4th at this point, so it's still in advance of January 6th. And look at this. Also on January 4th, when co-conspirator 2, Trump lawyer John Eastman, acknowledged to defendant Trump's senior advisor that no court would support his proposal for overturning the election results. Trump's senior advisor told John Eastman, quote, you're going to cause riots in the streets. Eastman responded that there had previously been points in the nation's history where violence was necessary to protect the republic. On the morning of January 5th, at defendant Trump's direction, Vice President's chief of staff and the Vice President's counsel met again with Eastman. Eastman now advocated that Vice President Pence do what defendant Trump had said he preferred the day before, that Pence should unilaterally reject electors from the targeted states. During this meeting, Eastman privately acknowledged to the Vice President's counsel he hoped to prevent judicial review of this proposal because he understood it would be unanimously rejected by the U.S. Supreme Court. The Vice President's counsel expressed to Eastman that following through with the proposal would result in a, quote, disastrous situation where the election might have to be decided in the streets. Decided in the streets. The indictment continues, quote, that same day, defendant Trump encouraged supporters to travel to Washington on January 6th, and he set the false expectation that the vice president had the authority and might to use his ceremonial role at the certification proceeding to reverse the election outcome in the defendant's favor. John Eastman saying, sometimes we need violence. Hey, this might be decided in the streets. And Trump says, let's get him in the streets. He is innocent until proven guilty. This will be an adversarial process, and the country, for the sake of history and for the sake of the country, has to hope that he has an excellent defense and that this is well fought and fair. He is innocent until proven guilty, but if the allegations made by the Justice Department in this indictment are proven, history will not ask how we got to the point where they had to indict a former president. History will ask, how did a person like this get elected to the U.S. presidency, where these actions could be carried out from the Oval Office, directed by an American president.